what we're going to do is, as you can see, I print out your questions because I take them very seriously. I know it takes you time to write these out. I know you need answers, and I try to go through them and pick out the ones where I hope that it will give the majority of you information that you actually need, okay? So let's start with the first one, and I'm going to go right to Michelle here. Michelle, right now, she says, right now I have 6-month-old twins, okay? This is Michelle. Congratulations, Michelle. My son nurses like a champ, and I pump for my daughter. We also supplement our little girl with some formula if I hadn't pumped enough for the day. I'd like to start to lose all the extra baby weight I'm carrying around, and I want to start exercising and dieting. Would either diet or exercise affect my milk supply? Okay, so 6 months, you're really into it at this point. You have already established your milk supply. You want to always give it at least 6 weeks. And if you've had twins and if you've had a C-section, you definitely want to make sure that you give your body some time to recover. But by 6 months, yeah, it's absolutely fine to go ahead and start exercising. Now, that being said, as far as the dieting, for most people, breastfeeding alone, especially one baby, is going to burn lots of calories. And so you typically don't need to diet. You just need to watch what you're eating, not increase your calories at all. And your body's going to burn about an extra 500 calories. That's the fire crackling. If you hear like popping and crackling, okay? That's the cedar. Yeah, okay, that's the wood. So your body's going to be burning about an extra 500 calories per day in expressing breast milk and what your baby's eating. So you could typically lose weight. I feel like the stream is choppy again. So we have some issues with our internet, and I'm not sure it's my phone or not. I'm going to get an iPhone because I think it might be my phone. But anyway, what?
We know it's not the girls' phones.
It's not the girls' phones. We can't blame the kids, which we like to do, but we're not going to do it tonight. Yeah, so dieting, I would really be careful, and especially with twins, because if you think about it, you're burning twice as much. That you're feeding your son, you're breastfeeding your son, you're pumping for your daughter. That's like 1,000 calories extra, and you don't want to decrease too much where it could impact your supply. So I would just be a little bit careful. For me, I would just eat normal, eat healthy, make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Continue on with everything that you're doing, and add the exercise. Start slowly, start walking, some light weights, whatever you want to do. Yoga's great, but no, it should be fine. It's only when you start doing like real strenuous, a lot of like running or real extraneous exercise, that sometimes can change the taste of the milk a little bit, where you have some of the lactic acid building up in the milk. But I don't think that's what you're talking about, and I think it's totally fine. The only other thing I would say is to check with your doctor too. Make sure that you're cleared to do that. Always check with your doctor, and everything that I recommend here. You always want to keep that open line of communication and ask questions too, because I don't always know every detail about your medical history, okay? But that sounds great. Congratulations, 6 months in. Great job, Michelle. Okay, hearts for Michelle. Yay, Michelle. Hearts for Michelle. Maybe the snow is causing the issues. Yeah. Yeah, you want to do a poll? Joe wants to do a poll.
Just ask them how the connection is for them.
They're saying it's fine. Well, Joe's saying, everybody tell me, how's the connection tonight? We're trying to work this out. Everybody knows that we've been having issues with our first we had a router issue, then Joe went and got this like crazy router. Look at this crazy ass router. You're going to laugh so hard. Okay, here is the router. Let's turn this around. Okay, look at this thing. Okay, it's like a, satellite. Like literally we can control a satellite. We're not flying drones with this thing. We're just trying to stream live on Facebook. And so that's the router. Yeah, very little choppy. No problem. Fine, little choppy. All right, so good. So you guys will let me know. So did we do hearts for Michelle? We did hearts for Michelle, right? Okay, excellent. Let's move on here. Melissa, I am battling mastitis for the first time. I'm assuming it's from a lack of keeping up on pumping or my major oversupply. We caught it pretty quick, less than 24 hours, and I started medication that day. What are some things besides pumping that I can do to prevent it from turning into an abscess? I am deathly scared of that this will happen. Everyone I talk to has had mastitis turned into an abscess. I'm pumping every 2 hours while dealing with this. We exclusively pump, and I currently am getting about 1 to 2 ounces of pumping session on the right side, which is the side that had the mastitis. Any help or advice, much appreciated. Okay, so what she's talking about is mastitis, which is an inflammation of the breast, okay, of the breast tissue. Now, I say inflammation because sometimes mastitis is used interchangeably with a breast infection. They're two separate things. A bacterial breast infection can develop out of mastitis, but mastitis itself is not necessarily an infection. Why is that important? Because the minute that you start to feel sick, and you will feel sick with mastitis, so you'll typically feel the breast will hurt, the breast will be red, you'll typically have a high fever, you'll feel like you have the flu, the boob flu, right? So you do feel really sick with mastitis. And what you want to do is you don't necessarily need to start antibiotics immediately, okay? Because there are times where it can be an infection, and that usually happens early on when you have any kind of cracks in the nipple. So any kind of cracking, of the nipple or openings in the nipple is where bacteria can get in and then cause a bacterial infection. But the first sign of that mastitis, the first thing to do is to start draining it keeping that breast as empty as possible. That means nursing on the affected side. Sometimes people think that the milk is infected, and that is not true. You want to keep breastfeeding on that side as much as possible, even though I know it's really hard because you're not feeling good. So either breastfeeding or pumping on that side, ideally the baby, because the baby will always get out more milk than your pump. But make sure that the breast is being kept completely empty. Also, you want to making sure that you're getting lots of rest and that you're staying really hydrated. But the main thing is emptying the breast. You can also put warm compresses onto the breast, and you can also take some Tylenol as well. Now, the thing to keep in mind is with all these things that you're doing, emptying the breast, warm compresses, if you seem to be getting worse within 24 hours, it's time to call the doctor and probably start a course of antibiotics. That's when, not treated, it can turn into a breast infection and then turn into an abscess. So this concern that you're having that it's going to automatically turn into an abscess, that's because it's gone untreated. The mom, whoever did that, your friends who are doing that are not treating it, are not paying attention. They're not maybe emptying the breast, and then they're not treating it quick enough if it's not getting better. So you want to keep an eye on it. But if you're feeling like it's getting better, you've got it under control, the fever is getting better, not worse, the pain's going away, the breast is emptying and draining, you don't necessarily have to start the antibiotics. And courses repeated courses of antibiotics is not good for your body. One, it lowers your immunity to have all those antibiotics. Hold on, before you sit back down, pause. I need a tissue, please. Before you start all those antibiotics, I want you to do all those other things, but the antibiotics can decrease your immunity. It does funny things to your body where it's killing good bacteria in your body as well. And it can cause, my nose is running. It can cause yeast, okay? So you can create another secondary problem by repeated courses of antibiotics, and yeast in the breast is not fun, which is another thing we're going to get to. So this kind of leads right into it. So my answer for Melissa is to make sure that she is definitely draining the breast as much as she can. I also want to show you something because I found this awesome product, and we're going to be doing work with them, and I feel like this is really good for you guys to see, because when I talk about warm compresses, especially for mastitis, we're talking about moist heat. So like wet washcloths or a nice warm heat, either for plug ducts or mastitis. And there's a new product called Rachel's Remedy, and I had an awesome conversation with Rachel this week, and we're going to be working together, and I'm very, very excited. So this was just a great time to talk about it. This is Rachel's Remedy, okay? And Rachel's Remedy is it's a heating pack. Okay, you can see this inside here where you can heat this up. And then the top layer can be made moist. So this can go, and then this is all waterproof. So it can actually go inside the bra, and it helps to prevent mastitis. It helps to treat plugged ducts. It creates that wearable moist heat, which I've never seen anything like this before. It's fantastic. Otherwise, what are you doing? You're sticking wet washcloths. But this is great if you want to keep it inside your bra and you don't want to be soaking wet. Okay, so it does go right into your bra and it keeps your clothes dry. And that's a great thing to try out. We'll be talking way more about that coming up. That was just an opportunity for me to show that to you. Hi, Jenny. It's your first time tuning in. Yay. We have lots of new people. I love seeing all you guys, new people, old people, people who've been with me for 9 years, 9 years already watching these live streams. So, yeah, so excited, so excited. And for any of you guys who are new, the other thing that you want to know about too is that I have some online classes. We have 2 breastfeeding classes called Simply Breastfeeding and Breast Pumps and Briefcases, and I also have a cloth diapering class. And if you've taken any of my classes, whether it's online through my website, or if you've taken them in person with me, or you've done any of my courses, if you get the even flow feeding pumps, they come included with the pumps. So any of those ways that you've actually taken courses with me, we have a private community now here on Facebook. It's a private Facebook group just for my students. So if you're interested in joining that with us, you just have to take one class, and we'll let you right in, and lots of great support. I see a bunch of my moms from the community here tonight, and I just love watching you guys all give each other good support. It's a really good safe space where you can ask questions, you can share things. It's not showing up in your feed for like your whole family to see and everybody see, oh, Joe's posting the community there. Okay, so if you're interested, just have to take one class and you can get right in with us, okay? So yeah, who liked that Rachel's Remedy? Isn't that cool? Let's do some hearts. And hearts for Melissa too. Hopefully her mastitis is getting better. Hearts, hearts, hearts. Here they go. Okay, lots of hearts. Yay, yay, yay. Okay, fantastic, fantastic, yay. Oh, and the other thing too about Melissa, she was talking about she's getting 1 to 2 ounces of pumping session. So the oversupply too, that's something that you have to watch for, to not over pump. Deal with your oversupply issues, because that could be causing her mastitis as well. She kind of knows that. I can see she's saying it's either from lack of keeping up on her pumping or from her major oversupply. 2 things that will cause your breast to become engorged too full and then lead to the inflammation. It's all that pressure on the breast tissue from not emptying and draining the breast frequently enough that can cause that inflammation and then lead to an infection. The problem is the pump doesn't cry. So when you're exclusively pumping, or you're counting on pumping to express milk, you can kind of sometimes put it off, but you really don't want to do that. You want to stay on top of it because of all these reasons that we're describing. Okay, next. I'm just enjoying seeing all the new people's names here, and all of there's Kate. Hi, Kate. Ola's on too. Hi, Ola. Yay. Okay. Next question. Okay. Nikki said, I've been breastfeeding my second child for 7.5 months now. I was fearing that my supply is dropping, not pumping very much per time right now. I pump every 2 hours while I'm at work. I do notice that I'm feeling very full at about 4 hours. How can I keep my milk supply up? I desperately want to make it to 1 year, 5 months to go. Okay. It's really hard with the pump, and you guys, a lot of you will see that, once you go from exclusively breastfeeding all the time, you're home with the baby, and then you go back to work and you're trying to get the same out with the pump, it's just not as effective. Couple things is, One, you want to make sure that you're pumping frequently enough. So you may not get as much out at a session as you want to, but if you do it more frequently, that's going to be more helpful than waiting a long stretch and then trying to pump a lot out, okay? The more that the breast fills up, the more it is going to signal your body to make less milk. The more that you pump frequently or feed frequently and keep draining the breast, the more milk your body's going to make. So keeping the breast frequently draining, even if you're only getting 1 or 2 ounces, that's okay. Just do it more frequently. The second thing is to consider, is it your pump? If you're having a decrease in the amount that you're able to pump out, are you using your pump effectively? Do you know how to use the pump that you got? The person I had here today, she had the even flow feeding pump, and she has a pump that I helped to design that I know works really, really well. But she told me, she's like, I'm not using it right. And when we went over how to use it, she said, no, that is totally not how I'm using it. So you want to make sure that you're using your pump right. When it comes to pumping, you want to make sure that you have a pump that you can control the speed and the suction separately. This is super important because if you can't do that, you're going to have a really hard time stimulating the letdown and then stimulating the second, the third, the fourth letdown. Now, lots of times people have never even heard about what I'm talking about, what I mean here. What that means is that your body initially lets down, the milk starts to flow, and then it will start to slow down. After it starts to slow down, you can get another letdown where it starts to flow again, but you need to know how to use those controls in order to do it. One dial that just controls the speed and suction, or a button that you push, is really not going to do that for you. So you need to be able to independently control that speed and suction. I have gone over this multiple times about how to get multiple letdowns, and you don't need to have the even flow, but you do need to have one that controls the speed and suction separately. Let's get a poll here, okay? What are the 3 things that we look for when we're talking about a breast pump, okay? Because for all the new people here, they may have never heard this, but for all of you guys who've been with me, you all know the answers. So I want to know, what are the 3 things to look for when you are choosing your breast pump? What are the 3 things that you always want to look for? I know it's coming. Let's see it. I'm going to wait for it. What are the 3 things that we always look for in a breast pump? Now, I just gave one away to you. I just gave you one of the answers, but what are some of the others? Here we go. Okay, closed system multi-suction levels. Yes. Yes, covered by insurance. That's a good one too. Absolutely. Oh, are you asking me? That's a question mark. You ask me? Yes, they are. Even flow feeding pumps are covered by insurance for sure. Covered by insurance. Okay. Okay, now who said Medela? Okay, that's not what you look for in a breast pump, okay? And one of the reasons why I'm going to say that to you is because you're looking for a closed system. Closed systems. Do you know what that is? If you don't know what that is, let's show that for a minute. Here's what a closed system is. Closed system, okay? This is the even flow feeding pump. You're looking for a pump where there is a barrier. See that little barrier? A barrier between your milk that's flowing down and the tubing, okay? Super important so you don't get milk in your tubing, so nothing's growing in there, okay? So you want to have a closed system. That's what everybody's saying here, okay? And then the independent speed and suction controls are where you can control the speed and suction separately, okay? That's how you're going to get those multiple letdowns, and that's what's going to help you to get more milk out. And then the third thing, come on, what's the third thing? What's the third thing? You can't believe you didn't know about open closed systems before. I know, isn't it crazy? It's crazy. Is the newest Medela a closed system? You know what? I don't know. It may be. I'm not sure, but yeah. I'm not sure. They may be finally starting to create one. We'll see. Okay, and then here is the third thing. Come on, you guys. There you go. Okay, got it. I need to get it. Okay, multiple flange sizes. Okay, so what that means is that your pump comes with multiple sizes of flanges. The flanges is the hole, that little thing that goes up against your breast with the hole in it, okay? Because not all breasts come in the same size, not all nipples, and you have to have the right size, or you are going to have pain and you're not going to be able to get your breast milk out. And then that can cause stasis of the milk. It can cause engorgement. It can cause a decrease in your milk supply. It can cause mastitis, all these other bad things. So if you're going back to work and you need this pump, then the pump really needs to be working for you, okay? Very important. That was just a little side note. We like to review once in a while because especially with new people, you're going to hear things that everybody else says, oh, I've heard you say that a million times, but you've never heard it before. And some of these things are just staple, important information that you need to have, okay? Now, I'm going to take a sip of my drink. All you guys know, this is not alcohol, okay? It's not wine, but I like to drink it in a wine glass, okay? So this is mango drink. It's delicious, okay? And somehow my mango drink tastes really, really good when I drink it in a wine glass. I don't know why, but it just definitely tastes different to me. It just has that flair for me that I really like. So there we go. All right. Hearts for Nikki, okay? Hearts for Nikki. And let's keep going here. Okay. Addie. Hi, Addie. I think you're here. I'm not sure. Addie just had twins, so she might not be here with us, but she will watch the replay. And Kate, you'll go ahead and tell her and post to her in our private group and let her know that I'm answering her question because I know Addie might have her hands filled, literally, okay, with her twins right now. But I want to answer her question. So here's Addie's question. What do I do if one boob is way overproducing more than the other? I don't want to create an oversupply issue, but one side is less than half of the other, and with twins, this poses a new challenge. Definitely. So here's the question. She's asking, why is one side making more than the other? And the answer to that is it's pretty normal for one side to be making more milk than the other because your breasts are typically not symmetrical in size and also not symmetrical in their production. One side tends to be more of a producer than the other. Now, lots of you guys may not notice it because you got your baby at the breast and it's not that big of a difference, and so you're not seeing that. But if you're pumping, or if you do have a pretty significant size difference, you can see that one side is making more. Or you put that baby on the one side and they're gagging and choking on that side, and yet the other side, they're not. So it will kind of tell you. That's normal, Addie. And yes, when you have twins, it does pose a problem because you're trying to use one breast for one baby and the other breast for the other baby. It's typically hard to get them to even out when they just are that way. I don't think it's something that you're doing. It just is like that. But what I would say for you to do is to alternate the breasts. So sometimes moms of twins will designate one breast to one baby and the other breast to the other baby. In this case, what I would say is that I would switch the babies at each feeding. So you're going to feed one baby on the right side at one feeding, feed the other baby on the left side, and then at the next feeding, switch them so they're getting the other side. If it really is a significant problem, what you can do is feed them both at the same time, let the one baby finish completely the whole feeding on the side that's the producer, and then when you're done with that and that second baby that had the side that maybe made a little bit less, finish the baby on that side that makes a little bit more. The milk that you'll be feeding at the end of that feeding is a lot of hind milk, which means that it's really high fat, high calorie milk anyway, so a little will go a long way. An extra half an ounce or an ounce from the side that is the producer after the first baby's already fed on it will be perfect to balance out what's going on, okay? So I hope that makes sense to you. Try not to stress too much about it, and keep on using both breasts, okay? Keep on using both breasts because even though it's maybe making less, it's still significant and you need it, all right? And you need it. You're not going to create an oversupply issue. I would just keep on nursing on demand, and if you're pumping, okay? Because I'm seeing the next part of your question here. So let's talk about this. She said also opinions on nipple shields, and when they can be a valuable tool. She tried to pump, and then she tries to pump, and then get the girls to latch, but she is not able to do that. The hospital lactation consultant said that she had inverted nipples and she thought it would resolve before the girls came home from the NICU, but it hasn't. I'd love to get away from always pumping and breastfeed at least some of the time. How do you size them? What is your, is it same as your flange size? I noticed different sizes when I was at Babies R Us. Okay, great questions. I don't think we talked about this much either, and I really want to. So she's asking about nipple shields. Now, there's a difference between a nipple shield and a breast shield or a flange, okay? Flanges are what are referred to typically as breast shields. That's the thing that's on the pump. A nipple shield is a small silicone disc that has holes in it that you put right onto your nipple, and then you put your baby on and you feed right on the nipple shield. They are wonderful when used appropriately, okay, when needed. It's a great tool. Like she says, what's my opinion, and can it be a valuable tool? Oh my goodness, yes. When used, when it's needed, okay? So when is it needed? When would you use a nipple shield? The times to use a nipple shield is when the breast is, when somebody might have flat or inverted nipples. Even though the baby is breastfeeding and not nipple feeding, they're actually sucking in the breast and not just the nipple. When you take a small newborn or a small baby and you try to latch that baby to a breast that, you know, the nipple is completely flat or inverted, you're gonna have a really difficult time. So nipple shields come in handy very well in those circumstances. It gives something for the baby to latch onto. And when you're nursing with a nipple shield, as long as the milk is expressing, it should have no impact on your supply. That being said, I really don't recommend using nipple shields unless you're having, you're working with a lactation consultant, unless someone is supporting you with it. You should do a weighed feeding with this. Somebody should be looking at how are you applying the shield? Is the baby transferring milk? That's when you can see decreased milk supplies because the baby could possibly not be getting milk through the shield, or you're not putting it on right, or, and I see this for frequently, you're using the wrong size nipple shield, okay? Kate said, can she pump for a minute instead? She could do that, and it'll help to pull the nipple out, and that's definitely a reason to use your breast pump. But for people who are like very engorged in the beginning or who have inverted or flat nipples, even a little bit of pumping may not do it, okay? So again, it's when it's used appropriately. Now, one of the biggest problems I see is the wrong size being used for nipple shields. And I don't know why, but lots of the hospitals, and it's very noisy in here because Joe is stoking the fire. That's okay. We are not complaining because, yep, I'm going to show you. Okay. I need it right now. Right? I need that fire because it is feeling really good. So stoke away. Okay. Yeah. So the problem I see frequently is that given the wrong shield in the hospital, so shields, Medela makes most of like the good shields that I recommend. It's probably their one thing that I really do like and recommend from them is their nipple shields, and they make these contact shields that have a cutout, and you can buy them in Babies R Us, and unfortunately people go and buy them and they just have them, you know, just oh, Joe's posting with little flames. So cute. That's him posting for me. So they go and they buy them, but then they're like you're using them when they don't really need them. But they're also they're being given the wrong size. Nipple shields I think they come in 3 sizes, if I'm not mistaken, like a 20, a 22, and a 24. 24, I just know 24 is the largest that they make. And if you think about it, what they're talking about is the diameter of the hole. Now, their largest nipple shield that they make is a 24, which is usually the standard smallest one that comes with the breast pumps, okay? So it's so infrequent that I'll see somebody needing less than a 24 on a breast pump. It's just so infrequent. I would say that the 24 should be pretty much the one you should always go with. I almost never see someone needing a smaller shield. And in fact, when I have moms calling me saying, you know, I'm using a nipple shield, but the baby's still losing weight, I'm losing my milk supply, and it hurts when I'm feeding and I'm going with a shield, it's typically because they're using a small shield that they got at the hospital. So it has nothing to do with the size of your baby's mouth. Okay, I want to say that because I think that's the reason they're being given the smaller shields, is that sometimes the nurses or whoever, or you go to buy one and you think, okay, well, I must need the small, my baby's a preemie, I need to use the really, really small one. That has to do more with the size of your nipple. It is not the size of the baby's mouth, okay? So it's very infrequent that I see that. Laura's saying she needs a 20 for a shield. Okay, I mean, listen, what size do you use on a flange on a pump? You must be using an extra small because you need to be using the same size, pretty much the same size. Yep, you're also using the contact one with the cutout, way better than the regular. Yeah, the cutout creates like an opening for the baby's nose. So when you put the shield on, the cutout is where the baby's nose is going to go up against your breast so that they're not having their nose right up against silicone. They're having their nose up against your breast. You tried 3 sizes. Okay, listen, it can happen where you might need the smaller one. Just make sure that you're actually transferring good milk with that size, okay? I almost never see it, so you could be the one. You definitely could be the one. Obviously, they make it for someone, but you wonder if that's why your pump hurts sometimes. Could be. You may need the smaller flange. If you really are using a 20, then you probably need a smaller flange than what you're using. I would say so. But great job, Addie. And we're sending you so much love. And we've been waiting for these babies to come. And so we can't wait to see some pictures. Right in the private group, post some pictures, Addie. Let's give hearts to Addie. Double hearts for Addie. Addie and her 2 little girls who finally came home from the NICU. Congratulations. I want to see pictures. So double hearts. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. All right. Let's just skip. Do you have any pages of questions I have? I need to show you this. Okay. You want to see this? Okay. This is just from the last, I would say, couple days. Okay. So this is how many questions I have from you guys, all right? And we're going to try to get to them, but I want you to see what I do, how seriously we take this, okay? These are your questions. Right? Do you get it, what I'm talking about now? Okay, here's the questions.
For anyone who doesn't think you look at their questions.
What?
For anyone who doesn't think you look.
Okay, so for anyone who thinks I'm not seeing your questions, I'm seeing your questions, but look at this. Okay, everybody's got lots and lots of questions. Okay, so I'm going to get through as many as I can. So yeah, they're like, okay, shut up and keep going then. All right. So I saw somebody before ask the question, how do you win the prize? Okay, so the prize tonight is the Back Buddy by Mom's Essentials. The way to win the prize is you need to love this post. Okay, so that means not just loves here in the chat, but you need to love the post itself. You need to comment here in this thread, and then we're going to pick a winner. Okay, we're going to pick a winner from that. I'd love to know what you love about the Back Buddy, and if you don't know, Joe just posted a link to their website. So how about we do this? We'll pick a winner from your answer of why you need it. So I'd love to see some answers of like, why do you need it? What do you love about it? Something about the product itself, and then we'll pick a winner from there. We usually give it a couple days. Sometimes it's a little longer because I'll remember, oh, we never did prize. But we always give it away. And we like to give some time because sometimes people have good intentions to make it for the live stream. But, you know, stuff comes up, babies come up, and they can't get on here, so they need to watch the replay. We like to include them. Okay, can we see the Back Buddy? Never heard of it. Yeah, absolutely, Casey. Okay, so first of all, I have one behind me. Okay, so they come in all different colors and all different prints. Joe has one behind him, so you can see Joe there. Okay, Joe's sitting there with the Back Buddy. We always have the Back Buddies, regardless of what show we're doing. And here's another one. Okay, in a print. They're super, super soft, and they're made of, you know, a non-toxic foam, so there's no off-gassing, which is great on these. They're created by a mom of twins, and her husband is a chiropractor. She's also a childbirth educator, Laura, and she designed this pillow to, it's something that you can see up against, so it's completely contoured. It hugs your sides. I don't know if you could see from what I'm doing here, and it has this great lumbar support. So when you're sitting and nursing, what happens is you are completely supported. You're not sinking back into the couch. You feel completely supported. You have the support next to you. Your husband will definitely steal it. That's why we have multiple ones here. It's that kind of thing that like you'll be fighting over who's using the back buddy. You share them. Very good, Joe. So Joe's saying sharing is caring, and it's not stealing. It's sharing. That's a happy marriage. Okay. So anyway, it definitely supports your whole back. It's great if you're pregnant, and it's great if you're nursing because you really do need good support in order to. I'm frozen. Yes, I frozen a lot. Okay, tell me if you see. Okay. Oh, see. Everybody, tell me why they need one. Excellent. Okay, that's what I want to see. I want to see why you need one. Okay, but it definitely gives you the support you need, and that's super important when you're breastfeeding. You need to be able to sit straight up. You need to make sure that your body is in an upright position, that you're bringing the baby to you, that you're not leaning over, that you're not sunk down, and you know. It's going to hurt your back and your shoulders to not get the right support. So, yeah, they're great. They're great. And they're great to use in bed, too, to sit up in bed. I've used them for all kinds of things. I can use them for my legs now. Like, so if you turn it upside down, they're great for, like, resting your legs on. I was saying I'm going to make a whole list of all the ways that I use a back buddy. I rest my Kindle on it, so when I'm watching my Kindle, yeah. You could use one on your bed. Yeah, you could use one in every room. Trust me, and you'll use it way beyond breastfeeding too. It's just one of those products that it won't be like you're done nursing. Now what do I do with this thing? You're gonna be like using, and they come in these awesome like prints. Like you can get them in pink and blue and green, like baby colors for your nursery. But they also come in these awesome prints where. You know, I have them here in my family room, and they match, so they kind of just go with the decor. Yes, yay. Okay, so there's the answer to your question. All right, let's keep going here. Ruth says, my baby girl is 4 months old. She is more interested in eating, sucking, playing with her hands, sometimes more than nursing. Is there a way to help her be more interested in nursing? She usually starts playing just a minute or two after latching on. Okay, so 4 months old, they do start to get very distracted, and so that could be what's going on. Very normal. It also could be that she may not be as hungry as you think. You know, a few minutes of feeding. Sometimes you think, okay, well, it's only been like 4 or 5 minutes. They're not done. But the truth is that as the baby gets older, the baby gets way more efficient getting the milk out. So the feedings get really, really short. So sometimes you'll see that the feedings are longer. Maybe, first thing in the morning, they're eating a long time. And then throughout the day, they're just kind of snacking. And that snacking is still giving them a good amount of milk, but she's distracted. A good way to deal with it is to go into a darkened room, try to have a little bit of a less distraction going on. And I love Kate's offering right there, because I was just about to say it. Nursing necklaces are great because it keeps them sort of occupied with touching and grasping and still nursing. Okay, so if she's trying to play with her hands, she literally just found her hands and finally has control over them. For the first 3 months, they have their hands, they can see them, but they actually can't control them. They can start to put them in their mouth, but then they pull them out and they can't keep them there. So when they can start using their hands, they typically like to do things with them. So yeah, I'm freezing up. I hope this is choppy. Somebody's saying the choppy feed again. All right, well, it's definitely better than it's been, so hopefully we're doing okay here. All right, hearts for Ruth and her baby who likes to play. Hearts for Ruth. Hearts. Let's give some love. Let's keep moving on here. Okay, so many breastfeeding questions. Oh my goodness. All right, let's see. I'm gonna go right to the end here and answer this question. Where is it? I want to find it. There's a question about yeast infections. Oh, here we are. Okay, Michelle. All right. So Michelle asked the question, help, we have thrush, most likely due to us being on amoxicillin for ear infections. That's what we were talking about earlier, like taking antibiotics and how that can cause thrush. We were prescribed nystatin 4 times a day for him, 2 times a day for me. Any tips, tricks to make sure we nip this in the bud? Also, any tips for soothing my breast that won't interfere with healing? Okay, so here's what I'm going to say. First of all, nystatin doesn't really work that well. I know that's really going to do the trick for you. Nystatin's not the best answer for it. What I would say is that, there is a great thrush protocol. Dr. Jack Newman, he's a pediatrician. I want you to look at his thrush protocol. There's a triple antibiotic. It's a triple antifungal steroidal cream that works really good. You need to ask your practitioner to prescribe that for you and to have that made at a compounding pharmacy, but that will work really well. That's for topical yeast. That means that the nipple is infected, and that's going to help with that. Now, a little bit goes a long way, so you're just going to use a tiny bit on your nipples. But I want you to, the all-purpose nipple ointment. Yeah, love Dr. Jack Newman. Yeah, he's got some great information there. So I want you to go look at that. The thing that you're going to make sure that you're doing is look at the breast. Get evaluated, go see an IBCLC and have that checked out, because sometimes what we think is like sore nipples from latch is actually thrush, like you're describing here. And thrush has a very specific look to it. It has a shiny, bright pinkness to the nipple, okay? If you have thrush and your pediatrician says, well, your baby doesn't need to treat it because they're not showing any signs in their mouth, they still need to be treated. So both of you need to be treated for the thrush. You need to be washing your pump parts and like sterilizing them more than usual if you're pumping. If the baby's using pacifiers, sterilized frequently. You need to be washing your bras every single day, and because yeast actually grows and lives on the fabric, so you can keep reinfecting yourself. Okay, so that's really, really important. Also, there are different, like taking acidophilus or probiotics are going to help with yeast overgrowth. Decreasing your sugar, okay? The yeast feeds on sugar, so decreasing sugars is definitely going to help that as well. But it's very important to make sure that you get treated, and if none of those things are working, then you may need to take oral diflucan, okay? And these are antifungals. Now, we're not talking about antibiotics, and I hate that I even have to say that, but sometimes you'll go see your doctor and you'll talk about yeast, and then they're just going to assume it's a breast infection and then prescribe antibiotics for this. That will make it 10 times worse, because the antibiotics could be the thing that caused it in the first place. So lots of times moms who had antibiotics prophylactically during labor, maybe you had group B strep infection, or you had a C-section, or you had prolonged ruptured membranes, and you had antibiotics in labor, that could predispose you to developing yeast when you're breastfeeding, or thrush, okay? So keep an eye out for that. And yeast can be pretty persistent, so it may take a long course of therapy with the diflucan, that's oral medication, to treat it. And it's not just like diflucan, like when you have a vaginal infection, you take one dose. It's not like that. You're taking it for like 2 weeks at a time. Lots of OBs are concerned about prescribing it that way, but the truth is that the amount that's going through the breast milk is minute for the baby, and the baby actually needs that diflucan to treat themselves as well. The amount that's going through the milk is actually less than they would give to a baby directly they were trying to treat for a candida infection. All right, so it's totally safe to give to the baby as well. You just need to make sure that you're getting treated properly. All right, so that's a good way to do this. I think that I would just, it's a very long answer, and I would just check out Dr. Jack Newman, because I really like what he does. There's a Candida protocol. Just Google that and you'll find it. It's up in nipple, okay? And then all the other things that we just mentioned. Yay! Hearts and love for Michelle and her thrush. I had thrush with both my kids, and it sucked. I gotta tell you. I mean, just to be blunt with you, it was terrible. It took me a long time to treat it, like a whole month. I had to take a whole course of therapy, and then I had to repeat it again, and it hurts. It was painful. You kind of know that it's that because the nipples are shiny and everything hurts. And what also happens too is that it can be on the nipple, just on the nipple, but you can also have it intraductally. So that means into the breast itself. And that's when it really can be very, very painful. It feels like a good sign to look for is that the breast is you're feeling like sharp shooting pains inside the breast, and it's happening between the feedings. That's a very typical sign of introductal thrush. So it's not necessarily when you start feeding, but after you're done feeding and you got sharp pains inside the breast, that's a good sign of thrush. Okay, and that's typically when you need to take diflucan, because the external cream is not going to treat what's going on the inside. Okay. Okay. Lots of hearts. What? Hearts for my thrush that I still cringe at 15 years later. 15 years later, and I can still remember. Remember how bad that was? Yeah, it was awful. I feel bad. What?
Thrush sucks.
Thrush sucks. Thrush sucks. Let's just say that. Why don't we have a hashtag? Hashtag thrush sucks. Yeah, it's hard to say. Thrush sucks. Thrush sucks, but it does. It does suck. Okay. All right, let's see. What do we got here? Casey. I have a 1-month-old, and I'm just getting over a stomach bug, and I'm also noticing a dip in my supply. What are some things I can do to bring it back up? Yeah, lots of times when you're sick, you will have a dip in your supply. That typically happens because of dehydration. Is it still choppy? Audio is awful. Feed is super choppy. Is it better right now? How frustrating. How totally frustrating. I'm going to buy an iPhone this week just for this because I'm kind of feeling like, I'm a big Android, I love my Galaxy because I like to swipe to text and, all those things. But I'm not sure if this is why this is happening because it's not my internet connection. So I am going to be really mad about that, but I'm going to have to get a new phone if it's not working. Is it better? It's better now. Okay, good. Anyway, so when you have okay, good. Thanks for letting me know. Look at all these new people. Hi, Danielle. Are you new, Danielle? I don't know if I've ever seen your name before. Okay. So let's see. When you're sick, you can definitely dehydrate, and a little bit of dehydration can cause you to have a dip in your supply. But the good news is it's usually temporary. Okay. So the best thing that you could do is make sure that yeah, I knew you were new. See, I know. You see, can you imagine? I know everybody this well. Yeah, we get to know each other really closely. So yes, I knew. Welcome. Yes. Okay. So yeah, the best thing you can do is to make sure that you're hydrating yourself. Get rehydrated. Make sure that you're resting and not overdoing it. Your body's, recovering. And then the most important thing you could do to up your supply is to make sure that you're nursing frequently or pumping frequently if you're a pumper versus a nurser. But the frequent expression of milk is what's going to keep your supply up and going. Okay, so and then there's of course supplements that you can take. There's tinctures. Mother Love makes some great supplements for increasing milk supply. More Milk Plus with fenugreek in it, Blessed Thistle. There's all kinds of, and that's a good one to look at is the More Milk Plus. For those of you guys who may react to fenugreek, they also make another supplement. I just wrote it down because I just saw it was brand new. Well, maybe new to me from seeing it, but it looked really interesting. It was an herb called moringa. Okay, and this is Mother Love, and they make this, it's a nutrient-dense herb, and it helps to support and increase breast milk production. And I think that sounds great. I was reading all about it and I'm like, wow, it increases your iron. It's really good. So for any of you guys who do struggle with fenugreek, and some people do, it causes upset stomach, even though it does increase milk supply, it can have some side effects on stomach pain, or if you have hypothyroidism, it could interfere with your thyroid. So you want to keep an eye on that too, because thyroid, low thyroid or underactive thyroid could also decrease your supply. So here, while you're taking fenugreek to increase your supply, you're messing with your thyroid and then possibly decreasing your supply. So I think that's a great thing. You could also drink the Milkmaid tea from Earth Mama Angel Baby. A couple cups a day is definitely going to help to support your supply as well. But if you're really trying to really boost it, if you're struggling with supply, I really encourage you to look at the tinctures. Okay, Mother Love makes the tincture, and I do like it better in tincture form than in the capsules. Okay, doesn't taste as good because it's in alcohol, but it does absorb better, in my opinion. So, and you can dose it better. So I do like the tinctures. Okay, check those out, Mother Love. Okay, let's see here. Okay, this is from Tony. Okay, so let's give some hearts to Casey. Okay, and hoping that she's feeling better and that she's recovering from her stomach flu. Bummer. Okay, it's always so hard to be sick when you're breastfeeding, because it doesn't stop. Like, you can't stop, even though you feel like crap. You still need to keep nursing. So, what is a tincture? Tincture is a liquid. Okay, so herbs can be in pill form. Oh, my battery's low. Can you imagine? I'm gonna lose battery here. Hold on. I need to pause, please. Let's plug this in. Let's plug this in before. Okay, now I hope I don't lose my screen when I do this, but I have to do this because I'm going to do it. I'm going to lose my screen. It's going to lose my screen. No. Okay, no.
Be good.
Okay. Yay. It worked. It's a liquid. Yes. Thank you, Kate. Tincture is a liquid. Okay. It's the way that you take herbs and turn away that is with alcohol. So it does alcohol. Okay. Weird. Okay. What she recommends? What? It was Mother Love tinctures. Tinctures. Andrea, hope you hear me. No. All right. I think it's been an hour. It's been an hour. And I think my phone is more tired than I am. And I know we have more questions, but we have more nights. So this is, I don't hear me because I can see that I am so too happy to walk away. I'm going to say goodnight and be back in a couple days, I'm sure, to do the final, to do another live Q&A. I love you guys very, very much. We'll get some hearts and say good night to everybody. And thank you, everyone, for joining me for our first live Q&A of the year. There'll be many, many more coming. And I will finish this list the next time that we are together. Make sure that you love this post. Make sure you comment here. Let me know why you want the back buddy. And we'll be choosing a winner. And I'll see you over on our Facebook wall and in our group. Okay. Love you guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Good night.